So, GXK is finally here, and after my last video, it was kind of just what I was expecting. It's a fun movie with lots of action, but also has arguably the best human characters in the Monsterverse. And this time they're actually funny and watchable. So, is it any good? Well, it's eh. As usual, I'll do the cons first and the pros. So, cons. The pacing and runtime. Holy shit, it's short. And while it doesn't seem as rushy as GVK, it's still quite fast paced. I don't know what Adam Wingard has against going over 2 hours with his runtimes. Shimo is just a plot device for Scar King to use with a crystal that never gets explained how it works. They hyped her up too much in the trailers and the marketing when she doesn't really do anything until the very end. Scar King is meh as a villain again. It's explained through exposition that Godzilla imprisoned him and that he went crazy and wants to go to the surface world. He's useless without the crystal though, and as soon as he loses it, he dies. Godzilla's role. You can tell how they needed to shoehorn him into a Kong story, which is originally what this was. And he has nothing to do until the final battle and just goes on side quests to upgrade his power level, although it does nothing to make him more powerful. Really, it only gives him better atomic breath, and he's no bigger than he was before. Clearly, they only did this to sell toys. Some kaiju from King of the Monsters show up, but Scylla gets killed before the credits are done, which was a huge waste, and Tiamat, who we didn't see, is introduced and immediately killed as well. This feels so disjointed from the Monsterverse, even GVK. It also seems like the writers wanted to on King of the Monsters as much as possible, because not only do they kill two of the new kaiju, but they also completely change Mothra's backstory. Yes, Mothra's in this. Anyway, they nonchalantly explain away that Gia needs to be the one to awaken her, and that she's the Iwi protector, which is not how it should be. Z Zhang isn't in this, and every Godzilla fan knows that the Shobijin twins are super important when it comes to Mothra. And they set it up in King of the Monsters, but it's never mentioned here. Also, her egg is non-existent. She kind of just appears. Maybe it's because originally this wasn't supposed to be Mothra. In the first place, this was supposed to be some bird thing. But test audiences didn't like it, so they kind of just said, F it, replace it. But they didn't change the story, which really hurts the film in my opinion. Also, she just stops Godzilla from killing Kong again, fights a few apes in Hollow Earth, and then just stops helping when the others go up to the surface. She survives though, so we might get to see her again. Zuko, the mini Kong, is clearly just a merchandising thing, although he's not all cutesy. He's kind of a little at the beginning, and Kong has to toss him around and teach him a lesson. This was kind of a nice change since we're kind of used to just the baby Yoda, oh, he's so cute type of deal. The story overall is kind of meh. The Iwis have sent a distress call up to get help so Scar King doesn't come to the surface. The human plot is good, but it still leaves a lot to be desired. They were on the right track with Gia and Eileen's relationship, but outside of that, there's no real substance to it. They're again there to spout exposition. It's not all bad though. I'll get to that in a minute. I want to take a minute now to talk about the soundtrack, and it's kind of bad. I liked GVK's score, and I like Tom Holkenborg. He's done some good stuff, but here it seems like overkill on the drums and synth. Godzilla and Kong's quote-unquote themes are more just motifs thrown in together with it. Scar King, Shimo, and Mothra don't really have themes, which sucks because there's so much potential for Scar King, who's super menacing, and also Shimo, despite not getting to do much, is cool design. Also, Yuji Koseki's original Mothra theme is nowhere to be found here. It's just disappointing. I really hope that if they continue this, that they bring back Bear McCreary, because not only did he beautifully adapt Akira Ifukube's score into KOTM, but he also made great original themes. Anyway, I'm just disappointed since Tom Holkenborg is so much better than this. Before the pros, I'd like to do the roles quickly. Rebecca Hall is good as usual, especially with Gia. Kaylee Hall has really improved her acting skills and is really good here. Brian Tyree Henry is back and he's mostly just comic relief like GVK. Alex Ferns shows up for a few minutes and dies right away. He kind of just plays the same role he did in Wrath of Man. Fala Chen has no lines and she plays an Iwi queen, so she's a bit boring when this could have been Z Zhang. Rachel House is in a scene as the director of Monarch, and I was wondering what happened to Mark Russell because they call him Director Russell in GVK, but then again Lance Reddick played the director, and this should have been him. They filmed it in 2022 before he died, so there's no reason they couldn't have got him. But the standout here is Dan Stevens as the new character, Trapper, who is hilarious and charming and the best character in the film. I really hope we see more of him. Compared to the previous entries, this cast is minuscule. It more lines up with the size of 2014's cast. However, most characters have nothing to do here, despite there being little of them. I hope they bring back the Russells and the Chen sisters sometime, maybe in the next one. Billy Bobby Brown is busy on Stranger Things now, though, so maybe not. Okay, enough waiting, now the pros. The monster fights are awesome, and so are the VFX, obviously. Although, they're a bit of a downgrade. But when you have barely any humans, that's what'll happen. Godzilla's design. I don't mind it, but It's clear it's just to sell toys. Same with Kong's Infinity Gauntlet and the whole character of Zuko. Scar King's design is really cool. He reminds me a lot of Koba from Planet of the Apes, and his whip is a really cool design also. Shimo's design is good too, and it's interesting to see an ice kaiju, although I just wish that she got more to do. Mothra got a bit of an update too. There's a lot more orange in her design this time. The humans are much more likable here than any other entry. It was nice to see Scylla and Tiamat for however brief that was. I hope they leave Behemoth and Methuselah alone, that's all I'm saying. Kong is clearly the main character here, and they did a great job with him again. Sometimes there are scenes with just him and the other monsters without humans, which was a nice change of pace. This movie is like 2014 in that it's not bad, but it feels lacking in areas. I really hope they improve on the next one, and next time maybe make a Toho monster the villain. There is no credit scene, which is a bit disappointing. Then again, only 2 films have a credit scene, KOTM and Skull Island. Overall, it's an okay film, but a lot could be improved. I hope the next one is Godzilla 3 and not a crossover, because I'm sick of Godzilla taking a backseat. This has happened 3 times now. First in GVK, then Monarch Legacy of Monsters, ugh, and now this. I personally have had enough of Kong. It seems like his story has been told. Now it's time for Godzilla to go through an arc of his own. I hope they do more with Shimo and Mothra in the future. I want Rodan to come back, and I want them not to kill off the new kaiju from King of the Monsters. And I didn't say this in my retrospective, but I really hate how, with every sequel, maximum, 3 characters return. Can we get a consistent cast for once, maybe? Where's Ford Brody? Where's all the KOTM people? Where's Nathan Lynn, the lead of the last one? Where's all the people from Skull Island? Where's Josh? I don't know. See what I mean? I like what Adam Wingard has done, but I think it's time for him to pass on the director's chair to someone else, or just have Michael Dougherty come back and get a bit more serious with it. And yes, this is going to get blasted by people who say, oh, this isn't Midas Way. But it doesn't matter. I think this is the worst one in the franchise, especially when compared to GVK and Skull Island and King of the Monsters. 2014 beats this because it was the first one, and while it was trying a little bit too hard to be grounded and dark and mature, it still has less problems than this. This is really getting into Showa era territory, which is fine, but they need to tread carefully. We don't want things to get too ridiculous. So yeah, 6 out of 10. I hope they improve on it later and make a Toho monster the villain. And like I said, this is getting a bit too Showa for me. So I really hope that they steer it into, Heisei territory a little bit more and start being a touch more serious. But do I think this will make enough money? Yeah. It might underperform just because of bad word of mouth, but I won't be shocked if it does make quite a little bit. It's got to compete only with Dune 2 and Kung Fu Panda 4, which shouldn't be a problem. Legendary actually made a smart decision releasing this in April because nothing of real note is coming out until Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. So this should make enough money for a sequel, and I'll continue to love and defend this franchise till I go to the grave. So I'm hyped for the sequel. Bring it on.